I'm so excited. We've been trying to do this 3 times because
At
of
least.
my stuff. And I know there's so much magic and good stuff that's going to pour out of you today. So I'm on the edge of my medicine ball. Listening.
Yeah.
So let's dive on in. Why don't you introduce yourself to these amazing soul sisters?
Okay. My name is Kat. I'm originally from Connecticut, but now I travel full time. I'm in Portugal at the moment, and I am a producer, designer, creative type. Yeah. Did I say I'm 36? Yeah.
Oh, 36. Thank you for
36.
sharing that with us. Yeah. It's just always awesome when we can relate and see ourselves in other
Totally.
people. So, oh my goodness, so much to celebrate. And we're going to get to that.
Yes.
Look at that beautiful smile that says it all. And I'm about to wipe that off of you to say, let's just go back, Kat. I really can't believe that it wasn't that long ago at all when you and I first chatted. And I remember that phone call very vividly. I knew I had a powerhouse in my vortex, but I could also see where you were actually at. And I would love to just go back there.
Okay.
Just want to close your eyes and drop into that place, Kat, where you were, 9 weeks ago, before you actually spoke with me, when on that call.
It's hard to go back there, to be honest.
Yeah.
The first call I had was with Anam, talking about what's possible. And the thing that I remember most is being so like guarded and so afraid and so like it was like war-torn territory is the best way I can describe it. Like my head was telling me a million things. I was always trying to figure it out. And I've come so far in my personal development journey, like leaps and bounds from where I was 15 years ago when I think I started. And I just felt like there was something that was really missing. And it was all with me, like I meet great people. I'm up to great things in work. Like, I've got a good job. I really like my career, and I built all of these other things. I travel all the time,
Yep.
I built these things, and I was really proud of them because there was nothing stopping me from getting there. Right. I'm like, okay, I'm going to build this business and I'm going to travel around the world and like all that stuff was there. But like the one thing that wasn't there is like, why am I struggling? Like my experience of myself when dating was like every guy that I met that was great, I was afraid they were going to leave. Like that was like the big thing that was always there. They're going to leave.
Yeah.
And then the men that I was meeting like online or whatever, I just was like, I was either settling or like seeing that they were okay enough and being like, well, that's not the one, but the other one's coming, and had this hope all the time. Like he's coming, he's sure he's going to come. He's going to come. He's going to come.
Oh.
But I had a million people that were like right here, like the fists up, and my bodyguards, we call them, right? Like
Yes.
I had a million. Yeah, 100%. And it was just I think it was probably one of the darker times for me because I had just gotten back from traveling. I was staying with my family, and I just felt really lost, and I knew I needed something to like kickstart me into high gear again so I could figure out what was wrong. Like they say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, but like my whole context for life was like everything works but this. I'm the common denominator. Like what's going on with me?
And that's so valid because I know many of you watching this right now can so relate to where Kat's at. I've certainly been there where I was like, I always joke about saying, I don't have a face like a smashed crab. Like I've got a good personality. Like what the fuck, universe? And
right.
then, and it's when you are such a go-getter and you're someone that does go after things and right, that's very masculine, but we get perplexed to go, well, why can't I make this work?
Yeah.
And then we start to feel separate, seeing other people moving forward with their lives. So what was it for you?
I just was thinking maybe it wasn't going to go that way.
Yeah. Had you, do you think you'd given up deep down when you came to me?
I mean, because I've been married before when I was much younger, and like I blamed myself for a lot of the reasons that didn't work. I've been in relationships, but I found that I was settling, and I had written lists. Like I had a huge list. My list isn't very different than my mission statement now, right? For my love, right? Like it's not very different. I know what I want, but when I'd find someone that was close to that, like, and I found someone that was close to that before this program, and I was like, oh my God, he checks all these boxes. And I just like could not figure out why I couldn't get there, no matter how bold I was or how much I tried, or I just kept having this feeling of like not being able to get it, not deserving it in a way. Yes. But I wouldn't let myself know that that's what that was. Like I didn't want it to, but it deep down inside, that's what it was. It was like, ugh, like how come you can't get what you want here, you know?
Yeah. So how was that really playing out? Like, how was that living inside of you? What was that feeling of not being able to have that beautiful relationship?
It was really dark and cold and lonely. Like this loneliness thing, like it's like I'd be willing to share my night with someone that I didn't really like, just so I could like have that feeling of feeling wanted. You know, it was like a game of feeling wanted, was it? You know, like I as much as I had always thought that I wasn't the pretty one or whatever, like I'd always have male attention and I didn't realize it. You know, I didn't realize why guys were interested in me. Like I wouldn't believe it. Or if they were, I'd be like, ew, like why are you into me? You know? And that's one thing I really know that shifted is like, I actually get what they're saying now. Yes. I know, like it's a huge victory. Like last weekend, I met an awesome guy that like, you know, I was just out at a bar and we were chatting and he was so kind and so generous with his time. And like, it just, he's like, you're amazing. Like you say, you're amazing. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. I am. like you get it, you know, like, thank you. I appreciate that, which is so like crazy.
Okay. So this is juicy. So we're coming into now the celebrations, because what Kat's talking about and what you can see in her, it's palpable. You can feel it, right? It's this deservability. And it's the receiving and it's the feminine. And when Kat came to me, she'd mastered the masculine. And I said this on our call. I'm like, sweetheart, like you're trying to do love with the masculine, with the do, I can. And that's where you're falling short. Because I said, Kat, I know you've done all this work and I want to commend you for being so committed with that, right? A lot of women come to me, they've done a lot of work. Some women come to me and they've read one book. Yeah. But I loved your commitment. I was like, wow, this is a girl that is going to go after what she wants and she's not going to stop till she gets it. That's why I invited you in. I was like, these are my people, A players. But what I knew was once we get that heart open, she's going to be cooking with gas, because all the other work you've been doing was intellectual. It wasn't that it wasn't helpful, but it was intellectual. Yeah. And now that you've just seen right in front of you, this man was giving you his time, he's prioritizing you, and you were able to receive the beautiful compliments and just sit in that. That is very, very different.
It's fucking huge.
It's huge.
It's huge. It's
because it's that same energy when someone looks at you in the eye and says, I love you and I want to marry you, that you're not going to run off, be taken off by all your bodyguards and your little girl and go, awesome, it's a yes.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. I mean, hello, have you seen me? I mean, that's where you're at right now. And you look so at home in your skin, Kat.
Well, that was a whole nother thing, Lucy, to be honest. The relationship to me and my body and my weight, I think, were probably one of the most amazing, powerful things that I got out of Soul to Soul. And I didn't realize that was a missing piece. You know, I think that like when we were talking about, I remember on the first call talking about being connected to my feminine, or to feeling it. And I was like, what do you want from me? Like I couldn't even like imagine what that was like, but the whole piece that was missing was like,
what do you want from me?
Yeah, I was like, I don't get it.
I'm just laughing because there'll be so many women watching this who have done a call with me. They'll be like, I know, what does she want from me? Yeah.
And it was like the relationship with myself and my love and reverence for myself was completely missing. Completely. Like I'm getting goosebumps, like thinking about it. Like I did not understand that the relationship that you have with yourself is the most important relationship in the fucking world.
Right.
Like so funny about it. Like I can't even believe that's been missing for 36 years. Like, I mean, or say 30, you know, since I knew, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Since I was a kid and something happened to me.
Yes.
Like I never, and I'm still a goosebumpy as hell. Like that, I was missing out on such a huge piece of my life that was not even because people didn't love me. I have so many people that love me.
Of course.
And my family's amazing. My friends, like I have great people that love me, but me not loving me. And it's so easy to be conditioned into that, like being hard on yourself, because that's how I've gotten where I've gotten. I've done really great things. I've worked with awesome people. I love my career. You know, I'm making movies now. Like things are awesome, but it was always missing this love, this like really getting that, like if I don't love me, who the hell's gonna?
Yes.
And I think that's when I hear people talk, and like my friends talk now that I've gone through this process, and they say those things that like, oh, I fucking hate my blah blah blah, or, you know, like my period, or I'm just like, that's the thing that gives people life. Like but it's like that whole, I would have been right there with her, you know,
Yes.
right there being like, oh my God, I hate it too. I hate being a woman. Being a woman sucks. It's like that. I can't even, those words will never come out of my mouth after this word, right? Not even in reference to me, you know, like it just won't come out of my mouth again, because that was what was missing the whole time. That like loving myself was the whole fucking time.
You're making me emotional.
I am too. I know.
I'm 39 weeks pregnant, so it wouldn't be hard to make a pregnant woman cry, but just seeing you right now, like reveling in this energy of enoughness and having this reverence, and just it's just oozing out of you. It's magnetic, Kat. Like it's so vulnerable, it's so present. And when you came to me, it's like you were saying all the right things.
Yeah.
But that we weren't connecting. And this is what shocks a lot of women when they do get on a call with me, is exactly this. They're like, well, Lucy, what do you want? Like truly, what do you want from me? Like I'm saying, I'm answering your questions. I'm like, yeah, from here.
Yeah.
But when
I was really good at that. I mean,
yeah,
I didn't even have the connection. And it's that, like we were talking about feeling. I didn't have that connection to feeling what I really wanted and understanding what really brought me joy. It was always like in service of what would make the situation better, or what would have somebody feel good, or like I have a lot of friends, and like I'd always be the one that like to reach out and make plans and like make sure I curate all this stuff. And it was inside of this huge looking good thing, which was okay. Like I was okay with it. And I'm still like now I look good anyway in my mind. Like I don't need the validation of knowing, you know, like I'm like, I will always be there. I will always take care of you. But I'm always going to take care of me first now. And I think that's
boom.
Yeah.
Because
that's the thing.
What you're speaking to is a conversation about overgiving, overcompensating. That comes from lack of worthiness. It comes from seeking external validation. And now you're like, I've got me.
Yeah. And the first time I ever even saw that for myself was like 6 years ago, I think, when I did the Landmark Forum. Like I got it for the first time in one of the sessions. Like, when I'm myself, people love me.
Yes.
And that was that was like a game-changing revelation in my life. And that opened up the doors in my job, in my value, like even in my relationships in general. And I really had a huge transformation, but I didn't see it from the feminine. I didn't see it from the feeling that when I'm myself, like when I'm being myself, like genuinely, truly, without anything else in the way, and feeling myself and loving myself and taking care of myself, that's when people love me, because I love me.
Yes.
Like that was it.
And that's when you attract in the amazing opportunities. That's when you attract in the right guy. But I want to just stack on that point about Landmark, because a lot of women come to me who have done Landmark. It's great. It's just that what I see and what I noticed when you came to me is there's a whole lot of speak and chat and distinctions, but there's no integration in the heart space. They're missing the feminine part of it. So it's very cerebral.
Yeah.
It's got fantastic, fantastic distinctions, but I just want to be clear that, you know, for those of you, perhaps if you have done Landmark, I think this is just a great opportunity to just sort of mention that whatever you're doing out there, girls, whatever it is, whether it's Landmark or, you know, shamanism, ayahuasca, tapping, hypnosis, any of that stuff, it all falls into the same category, which I want to ask you is to ask yourself right now, is what I'm doing actually getting me the outcome? Because otherwise what happens is we become a seeker instead of a finder. And if what you're doing isn't actually making that big shift internally with your heart space, then you got to keep going until you get that right process, right? Because this is what I love about Kat, is she just kept going and she's doing all these things. And yes, it's helpful for sure, huge breakthrough. But you were like, Lucy, when we had our call, I still haven't got what I want. And what she didn't have was the connection with her heart.
That was something I just didn't even know needed to exist. That's what's different about this program. as in any other thing that I've done. And, you know, I've done a lot of other things just besides landmark too, you know, like, so it's like, and I love I'm so grateful for all of the personal development work that I've done.
It's all
because, like,
part of it.
Yeah. It like has skyrocketed me into who I am and my being, but like this program was it was like a key that needed to be turned, and it's still like a work in progress, you know, like I have those moments where I find myself like going into this place where I'm like, oh, I'm not so great. And I'm like, wait, what am I not doing? Oh, did I not do my gratefuls today? Like, did I, you know, did I not, you know, spend time in the mirror and care for myself? Like, am I being hard on myself? Am I numbing myself? Like, are all of these things that I can recognize and go, okay, you can put that aside now and not beat myself up. Like, the inner critic in my head before this program was like, it was like rotting fruit. You know what I mean? Like I think about the way my brain was treating my body. Like I remember I had a hard time looking at myself in the mirror, like naked, you know, or like with just a bra and panties on, because I was like, oh my God, you know, this looks terrible. Like, cause I, you know, I've got like a gut, you know, I'm a heavier girl, like, and I've been heavier my whole life, but that has defined me as a woman, and my value is based on my weight. Like if I was feeling thinner, or if I looked like I'd lost an inch or two, I automatically felt better about myself. And the thing is with this program, like I didn't change my diet. I didn't really change my lifestyle. I've like lost 9 inches off of my body since I started, because it was like, oh, I'm loving myself now. And it's like I stopped hating on like my baby maker and being like, your belly's gorgeous, like you have curves, like your body, like you create people, like you know, like you get to house this amazing world that's up here, you know, like, and that shifted everything. I didn't have that relationship before. I'm 36.
I so get it. It's almost like seeing in a different color once you really get yourself. I remember it, you know, it's not that long ago, but I remember it so vividly. I was like, how was I not doing this? How was I fucking living?
I know, that's what I feel. I really feel. And I've been traveling for the last month and a half. And I go back in a couple of weeks to see my family and my friends. And I'm just like, their experience of me is going to be completely different, because here I'm a little isolated. I have friends here, of course, but they know this side of me. And, you know, they don't really have a context of the last, you know, however many years. So I'm just excited to be present with them and not be worrying about how I fit into the situation.
Yes.
Because I can be
unapologetic.
I can be more present, and I can be caring for them and being with them and not worrying about any of the things that I thought mattered.
And P.S., the weight was emotional weight that you dropped.
100%. Yeah, I haven't even tried to weigh myself, because there's no scale here. But I know, I looked. It's like it's falling off of me. I do. I feel different. My body looks totally different. I like tried on underwear the other day and took some pictures, because I was like, "Damn, girl, you look good." But like funny, like things I would never be proud of before.
Yes, that makes me so happy.
Yeah, I'm just not. I'm not ashamed of. This is what I'm working with. Like, why would I hate on it? You know?
Oh my God, have you seen who we're looking at right now? Beautiful, inside and out. And that's what's shining now, because it felt like with all the work that you've done, it was all, you've got it. But as I said, it just wasn't integrated. And it was almost like it was actually keeping a thin veil between you and actually that vulnerability with all these tools, but you weren't.
There was no way to be vulnerable. Yeah, there was no way. Like, because I would immediately make it wrong. It would be bad to be like, that was one of the things that was huge, is that like, it's okay to be emotional. It's okay. Like, I would always be like, I'm sorry. Like if I teared up, like I'd have no connection to my heart, and that I wasn't allowed to be weak. It was a sign of weakness, you know, like they teach that kind of too, you know, you don't even realize it. You have to be strong, and like, you know, we're in a man's world, and like in this, like, you know, as a career driven person, it's like, you just don't, you have to buck up or you're going to fall to the wayside. And I so see how that like poisoned the well for me, you know,
and
like,
especially with men, because not just men, but anyone, we don't want to be around, like, I don't want to hang out with Kat Burns if she's just got everything together all the time. I want to be able to feel you like a Kat in this conversation. I want the real Kat.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in just someone who can jazz hands at all. And that used to be me. I was jazz handsing I was calling my whole, dialing my life in and giving some version of myself. And no wonder I wasn't having intimacy and true deep connections in relationships with men, because I wasn't bringing it in. And that was where you were at. Was like this version, this persona. And now what we're getting is this 5-dimensional, beautiful, open, available woman.
I do feel available. I feel like I can actually just be, actually be, not trying to be a certain way, like doing the being, if that makes sense. Like
totally.
Just being it, not having to go, okay, I need to be happy right now. And then just trying to put it on, like just actually being with my feelings and being okay with it. Like, and I know, like, it's just conditioning. Like, it's not my fault. It's not my family's fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the way that we take in information over time.
Yes.
And the way that things show up. It's like we just carve this little path of the way that we think things work. And then we're kind of stuck in that. Like, oh my God, this is who I am now.
Exactly.
It's like you're inside a box and you're trying really hard to just stay inside the box. And it's like, I just get to be free. There's no box anymore.
Yes, Kat. So what would you say for you right now, like looking at the future and really feeling into this man coming into your life? Like, how are you really feeling about the future?
I think my future is bright and awesome. I just have a lot of excitement because I don't have the pressed timeline in my mind anymore. I know he's so close. Like, if he's not already in my vortex, he's so close by that he's like, tapping his foot in,
Yes.
But even just even like I just said last weekend, I just happened to meet someone at a club, and it's like, I could just feel that energy was so different and so much more along the lines of what I deserve. Yes. That I was like, wow, whether that, you know what I mean? Like, whether I ever talk to him again or not, I was just like, wow, that it's a different energy. It's like
different energy.
I'm appreciated. I'm known. I'm heard. And like, that's the person that's I'm seen, right? Like, I'm going to stand out to them when I'm standing across the room somewhere, and they're going to stand out to me. Like, it's like an alignment, like literally. Yes. Like, I just feel like I can be in a place now and not be like, okay, like, who's the cute one here? Who do I have to go make a move on or whatever? Like, it's literally like, oh no, like my energy will bring in the people that are aligned with me. That's so different.
Yes. And I have to jump on this because it just reminded me of when you were in the process, and your old context was very much like, men that weren't even right for you. Remember, you had a big time having to let go of that. It's like, knowing they weren't right, but then still needing them to like you. And it was all just like, so.
The validation factor for me has been, because I realized very early on that if you pay attention to men in certain ways, then they will pay attention to you. Well, they need that, and it doesn't go very much farther. It's a devalue for me, and it's a, move on. And that, I think, was like just before I signed up for Soul to Soul, which is like, it was perfect timing when I did. Like, I had that situation going on where I just like allowed myself to like basically be stepped on.
Yep.
Like, flat out stepped on.
Yes.
And like, I can't even be ashamed of it now, because I know that I am who I am, and I have to answer for any.
We've all got that. We've all.
Yeah. Any of the things that have happened to me in my life, like, it's all part of my journey. But the reality is, like, I can forgive that girl that made that choice and all the choices before and all of the things. Yeah. And just be with, like, if you came up to me and said, hey, I heard you do this, I'd be like, yeah. That's how was me then.
Unapologetic
now. Yeah. And like, I can't be ashamed, like, I might never be able to be a senator, but I never be ashamed, like.
I love everything you're saying and standing in right now. It's so palpable and it's so fierce, and yet it's got softness too. It's just, you're just really just in who you are, Kat, and it's undeniable. And I'm sure my soul sisters watching this, it's like your essence is just, it's like, this is who I am. So was there anything that, nearly stopped you from doing Soul to Soul?
The money.
Yep.
Because the investment was big. But I don't think I thought to myself that I was really getting the value of probably until like week 6 for me, only because I had a lot of conversations about my value, and I was comparing dollar amounts to my value, right? And I was like, well, but something shifted for me towards the last 2 weeks of the program where I was just like, yo, you are awesome. And I was like, this shit is priceless. Like to get, like, it's like I had glimpses of those moments where I was like shining in my life.
I love
but
that.
They were so fleeting. They went away and I couldn't get them back. And I'd be like, what am I doing wrong? You know, and I go back to that self-hating, like awful, like, you know, kick your ass and just tell yourself you're bad. And I think that that's when I got that, like, I get to say how that goes. Like I can shift my energy in a matter of seconds now by a choice.
Yep.
Because I can see where I'm holding on to things. I can see where I'm numbing. I can see where I'm upset and not expressing my truth. And that, that is like the kicker. That's like, oh my God, you can actually see that this is all inside of you and that nobody else, nothing that anybody else does has anything to do with you. It's your choice to suffer. It's your choice to be like, you know, in your own little world. It's your choice to not express yourself. Like, I don't feel afraid to do that anymore. Like, I don't feel like I can't. And in moments that I have felt that, I've been confronted with a couple situations here that I'm like, oh, I don't really like this, but it's like, I can own that is like, oh, I was in a moment where I wasn't speaking my truth. And I can go, okay, just next time you won't do that. And I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're horrible, you're out too late, you did this. Like, it just doesn't exist as a negative anymore. It's just like, okay, today's a new day, wake up and do something else, you know? It's
well,
like,
you're on Team Cat now. That's what I'm hearing. It's like, I back myself. I love myself, even in those moments when we drop the ball, because that's life. We all do. Oprah drops the friggin' ball. She's freaking Oprah. You know, we all have those.
It's so important to have a coach. It's so important to have a team. Like one of the most amazing parts of Soul to Soul is that you have the group of sisters that you're going through with, right? All the other queens that are on the similar journey, but they're all in different places. So like, you know, something I missed in week 2, one of the new girls says, and I'm like, oh, holy shit. Like, I can't believe that, like, that is me. And then something I said for them, like, they're like, oh my God, you know, and
that's it.
And I know that, like, being able to share is like that to me. That's why I tell stories. Like, that's why I like to, you know, make films and things, because I want to be able to share stories. I think that that's one of the most important ways for people to learn about themselves. And anything that supports that idea of sharing yourself authentically and being able to have somebody, you know, discover something for themselves as a result of what you say. Like, to me, like my life mission is complete if I can do that. Well, so this program was totally set up for that. It was like, oh my God, you have whether I started with, I think 4 sisters, and then we were at like 9 by the end. And I was just like, oh my God, like, these women are up to huge things. They have big dreams. They have big goals, and they all are having their own struggles in their own little way. And you're like, man, what I could learn from these people when they're doing the same process in a completely different way. It's like mind blowing. It's amazing.
Well, it is. And that's why, you know, this is not for everyone. It's not for you if you're not ready to really fight for your future and claim that dream.
It's a fight. That's it. It's so a fight for yourself. Like, you have to fight for yourself. Like, your literal life depends on it.
Yes. And that's
like, I would be dead right now in my brain. You know, I don't know how I would be surviving. Like, if I think about myself 2-3 months ago, I'm just like, how the hell was I doing that?
I know. I know. Well, I'm just so proud of you. This is so delicious. I'm kind of like, can I sign up for your program? I feel like you're like running it. But Kat, I mean, seriously, you're just radiating. And it really is about the collective consciousness. And that's why it's like, this is not a numbers game. If anything, I send most people away. And you girls know that. When you get a new soul sister, you're like, oh, she's going to be good. Like,
I know, I was worried at first. Am I going to get picked? And I was like, no, this, like, because I found your webinar and watched your webinar. And then for 3 weeks, I just sat and you kept popping up in my things. And I was like, started listening to the lives here and there. And then I was like, oh man, I think it was like, you said something about distraction. It was some live that you did. And I was like,
yeah, the law of distraction.
The law of distraction. I was like, oh shit. Like, I was like, this is like, she's calling me out. Like, literally, she might as well be like, Kat, by the way, you know? Like, I felt like you were like speaking directly to me. And I was like, ugh. Like, if I didn't have all of those distractions, how much more streamlined can my whole life be? Yeah. You know, just some queens yesterday, I was talking about someone, they were like, when are you going to get all those things out of your vortex? And I was like, good reminder that I still, it's very in my nature after all this time to still collect my things and like hold on to them like they have value. But the reality is, if it doesn't fucking serve me, get out. Like, get out. Like, I don't want you.
Yep.
Get out.
Totally. I am so beyond proud of you. And I mean, obviously we could keep chatting to you because this is so delicious. It really is. And you're such a leader. You're a powerful woman in the world. And you're even more powerful now because you're bringing your heart into your work, into your relationships and everything that you do.
I see that. I can fight for myself and what I want. I can stand my truth, and I can say no now when I couldn't say no before. Like, I just don't have to back down anymore and not be myself,
You're too good. You're too good to be anything other than you. What would you want to say to a soul sister that's really sitting where you were right now in that sort of, should I do this, should I not? But they can feel the truth and they're resonating with actually your story. What would you say to her right now?
Choose you. Because if you don't, no one else will. They will, maybe, but it's a way, it's like the way that you get to choose you. Like, choose you first, and then everything else will come.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, love yourself so much to do something like this for yourself. Like, love yourself more than anyone could ever love you, because you get to do that, Yes. That's so fucking big. Like, ew, I'm still like a little emotional girl over here.
Oh my goodness. Can they reach out to you? And not to harass Kat, she's busy, but like if they feel really drawn to reaching out to you, is that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Kat, it's been an honor to watch you soar. And I love your truth as well, because it really does hit people at different stages of the process. Some people are into day 2 and they're like, oh my God, I got more out of this than I have in 15 years of therapy. Some people get to where you did, week 6, and suddenly everything's landing. Yeah. And it doesn't matter where in the process it comes for you. It's you in your own lane. And I just loved your truth around that. But suddenly it's just like everything clicked in.
Yeah, because week 3 and 4 were super, super powerful for me. And I realized things about the way I thought about my family and my upbringing that changed the game for me. Yeah. Like, literally the way I viewed my whole life. Like, I uncovered one thing just by getting back to this little girl and the way that she thought about the world. But I still didn't know what to do with that at that point. I was like, okay, I see this now. It's available. Right. Like, and I didn't get the impact of it, I think, until a bit later when I was like, oh my God, I get to say how life goes now. Like, this is about me and my show and my story. And I'm the only one that gets to tell it. That's and right. That is I literally feel like I could move mountains with that, because
you can.
It's so powerful.
And that's really, girls, when you're watching this, we don't go into like modules on this because it doesn't make sense anyway. But there is so much to take in, and it does click in at different times. But it's designed just,
it's like perfectly designed that way because you get enough time to resonate. You get I even had time to move to another country, and take a week to kind of regroup. And then I ended up doing some of the modules together because I just would listen to the one meditation in the morning and one at night, and just it just started to get wow, this is a process, and it takes time. And I know that I'm by no means as far along as I could be, you know what I mean? But by having access to this now, I just know that my journey is just beginning. And that's it's just beginning to actually, and the grip on creating your reality and the law of attraction and really and energy and calling in, I've learned so much more about that in the last 8 weeks than I'd ever known. And I'd always I've learned about the law of attraction in 2006. And the reason why I learned about it, somebody had said something to me about The Secret. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror. This is fucking crazy. I would look at myself in the mirror and lie to myself and say, you're beautiful. Because at that time in my life, I was so low that I could not even tell myself that I was beautiful. And I kept saying, other people can be happy and I'm not happy. Why can't I be happy? And I would just look at myself and cry in the mirror in these times where I was all alone. And that was the first time that I started to see a very small shift, but I didn't understand. I'm like, okay, I'm not so horrible today. And so to go from I'm not so horrible today to now being I'm a hell yes to me today, and I fucking love myself, and I'm gonna like I'm out to do like great things for me. Like that to me is like it took me 15 years, right? Or what? Almost 15, 13, 12 years to get to that point where I actually am like, wow. But you know what? That was my process and my journey, and now I can be available to provide that for even one other person. You know,
That's right.
like that's how fucking important that is.
That's inevitable. There'll be a lot more than one other person. But with The Secret, I will just touch on that before we wrap, is, you know, I just had a beautiful girl on the phone just then. She's just stepped into Soul to Soul, and she was like, I've done this, read The Secret, and I'm into Law of Attraction, but she said nothing's changing. And I was like, I have been there. And so many of you, where it's frustrating because you think you're doing it, but that's what we're doing, is we're doing it. And we're not integrating it, and we're not using it. Why? Because we're not connected in here. We're from here. And that's the shift, Kat, is suddenly you're not just observing Law of Attraction or knowing about it. Mechanically, you're able to merge with it and work with it. And that's what's happening for you now. And you've got it for the rest of your life now.
Yeah.
So it's.
I actually listen to Abraham Hicks talks now. I can understand what she's talking about.
Right.
Like, because it was a feeling, and that's what I'm saying. Like around week 6 or so, it's like I get to control that. I get to raise my own vibration, but it was all the undeserving and the unworthiness and the beat down that had me. It was all like, it was in the way. It was like this muck I had to clear away from my heart so I could get that. That's where I needed to be bringing myself up to, you know, that was like.
That's exactly right. It's a beautiful way you just said it, is that a lot of people say to me, I couldn't fully appreciate, or I couldn't let in Esther Hicks, or I couldn't fully understand it. And because she's freaking epic. I'm obsessed with her. But that's really the truth. They're like, oh my God, now I can just listen and I can really actually allow it in, because you don't have all of those roadblocks and disconnection and no deservability. Because this is the thing, it's almost like you're putting the wrong petrol in your car. You know, so your car's not going to where it can. It keeps breaking down. It keeps stalling because it doesn't have what it needs. And now you're like, oh, I've got the goods. Yeah. I can go and create. I can go and attract. That's what it is.
It was
so, you know, it's a massive game changer, Kat, and the magic that you're going to be spreading single-handedly. I'll be watching this space for many years to come. You can run, but you can't hide. I'll be watching you like a hawk. I love you. I see you. And I'm just so grateful to be on this journey with you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much. I mean, you like, just something about you spoke to me, and I was like, this woman is something, and I need to see more of that. I saw a lot of you in me. Like I feel like we have a very similar, like, you know, the things that we want and have. And I was just like, there's something about this that is going to change my life. And it hands down has been huge. And my friends that I've talked to about it, they're like, whoa, like my best friend of 25 years, like I sent her a message that I had sent to someone else, and she wrote back, I'm crying right now. You love yourself. And I was like, I do. Oh she's like, I've loved you all along, and I didn't know that you know, like, I'm just so happy that you see it now. And I was just like, fuck, like, people that love me so much. Yeah, like they just wanted so much for me to get that and just be able to own that. And I hope it never goes away. It's never going away. Not I hope.
There's no hope.
Never going away.
I feel like I'm watching The Notebook or something. Like, this is such a rom-com right now moment. I'm like, I love you, Kat. So there's probably like far too much estrogen flying around. Sorry, not sorry. But honey,
sorry.
No, I'm not sorry at all. Fan-fucking-tastic. Again, thank you for coming and just shining the light on your journey so others can actually see in for what's possible for them. And I love you. Thank you.
I love you too. Thanks, Lizzie.
Mwah. Best is yet to come. Bye, darling.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.